Hi everyone, welcome to this video. So here we are going to be creating a very basic Supreme bot in Python. But before we can kind of get started with this, we need to understand how the Supreme process works. So I'm on the Supreme site right now, and the first thing you want to do is browse for an item. So you want to find one. Let's pick one of these jackets. Once you're on the page, you want to choose your color. I already chosen this black one. Choose your size, then you have to click the add to basket, check out, and fill in the details. So what's the purpose of me going through this? This is so we can understand the process and how we can algorithmically write code for each of those processes and those steps. Okay, so we kind of get an understanding. So first you want to do is find the item. So how are we going to find the item? If you kind of scour the site and look at the network requests of Supreme, you'll actually find this web URL here. So supremenewyork.com/mobile_stock.json. So what this is a JSON file full of all the product detail, all the products and their details on the Supreme site. Right now it's really hard to see, so if I just copy this and then I paste it into a JSON viewer and go through it quite nicely. So JSON is essentially like dictionary, so key value pairs. So here it's kind of organized it in a more readable way. So we can look at the products and categories. Under that there are multiple categories, and under each category there are products. So here there's 9 products, and if we open one you can see the name, the ID, the image URL, and a load of other information, which is quite useful so if we're going to create a bot. Okay, so we can kind of so what we're going to use this for? We're going to use this for to find the item. So and with the item we can get the ID, and then I'll show you something next with the ID and why that's important. But okay, let's start writing a bit of code. So what we want to do is import request, which is a Python library that allows you to send get and post requests and a load of other things. Once you've done that, let's create a function. So this is get item. Well, actually, find item. Let's go find item. Then you can have like a name or something there. What do you want to do? You want to do a request, and this is a get request to that URL. So let's go back, paste that URL here. Ooh. Copy, paste. Okay, and then we'll send a request there, and then we can just go print out the HTML.text, and let's just see what that does. Oh, I need to put a name. Let's just put none for now. Oh, there we go. So when I put in HTML.text, it's printed out all that JSON file onto the console, which is quite nice. Okay, so to handle JSON files and stuff, we want to import the JSON package, and all you have to do is something like, I like to write output equals JSON.loads HTML.text, and then if you just print that out, it should work. There we go, very quick. And what does that allow us to do? That allows us to go through different keys to get their values. So what I mean, let me show you an example. So this is products and categories, so I can write here products, how is it, products underscore and categories. So if I show you that, there we go. This is only from products and categories, what's been shown here. Okay, so we've got that. And why do we need this? We need to loop through each of the products in this products and categories and find the item. So let's do this. We need to use for loops for this. For, let's say, category in output. put products and categories. We need to do for item in category. No, I'm doing two for loops within each other, nested for loops. Not the most efficient way of doing things, but it does get the job done. So what we can do here is for item and category, and then we say if name is equal to, or even if name is in the item name. What was the item's name? Oh, it's just name. Okay, item name. You can do print item name, and you can break here. Oh yeah, return actually. Let's return the item ID. So let's try that out. But let's actually put in a name. Actually, let's get this one. So logo split. Let's just write in logo split. Logo split. Name. If name in must be integers. Category. Oh, yeah, okay. Because you need to do it like this. Let's try that again. There we go. Okay. Okay. It prints out the name. Let me print out the ID as well. I believe the ID is just like that. Let's try that again. Okay. Here we go. We've got the ID and the name printed out, and it'll return it. Perfect. We've got the ID. So I told you that this is quite important. So what are we going to do with this ID? We can do this. Supreme new.com/shop/id.json, and look at that. If I put in the ID of the item.json, gives me another JSON file, and this JSON file has all the details we need about that item. Try again. You can view it. Okay, here we go. So here I got the different styles, and what styles is just the colors. So here's heather gray, black. It tells me, gives me images, loads of other things as well, which is pretty useful. And what we want to get now is the color ID. So if you remember correctly, first thing we want to do is find the item, then we want to get the color. So this is color. Okay, so let's close that for now. Let's say def. So here we're defining a function, get color, and let's write a color here. Okay, so but you also need the item ID. So let's do another one. Right, you're gonna F string here, so you can do formatted strings. Let's get that URL, paste it in there, change that, and make that item ID. So what have I done here? So if you use an F string, I can then use curly braces and then put a variable in there, and it'll paste the variable and make it part of the string sort of thing. I think that was a really bad explanation, but I guess you guys understand. And we can make another request, and because it's JSON, we load it again using the JSON package, and let's just print it. And this time, instead of just writing down the function, calling the function, we can just do it like this. This is a nicer way of writing it, more Pythonic. So if underscore name equals underscore main, that is a Pythonic way of like running a file. So the reason why we do this is if you run this file, this would become the main file. So this is kind of like metadata kind of, and this variable here will have underscore main because this is the main file being run, if it being, yeah, that is running, that you've run. If you call this a function from here from a different file, this will not be the main, this will not be true because name won't be main. But anyway, let's try this. So now I got item ID equals find item. I should get that name again. Let's get this one. Logo split. Now I've got that. Now let's do get color, and let's put in the item ID that we got. What's a good color? What color do they have? They had black, didn't they? Yeah, let's go black. Okay. Let's give that a run. Let's run that and give it a go. Oh, there we go. So we got it ran the first function, printed these out, and it's run the second one and printed out the output. Nice. Okay. So with that, we want to loop through and get the color ID now. So to get the color ID, all we need to do is loop through this JSON file. As you can see here, we can loop through all these styles to find the color and get the ID, but also then we can look at which size we want and if it's in stock, because all the sizes for each color are mentioned here and their stock levels, which is pretty cool. So let's go back to the code and let's start writing this out. So we're going to use for loops again. So for let's say product color, because we usually use color. Product in output, and then if color is if color in product color name, I think name. Oh, actually, this is it's styled, isn't it? So if the color that we specified is in the color mentioned here, if that's true, then we want to loop through the sizes and find our size. Or well, we don't need to loop through, but we can just do okay, so if the color is in the product, then we can loop through the sizes to get the size that we want. Product colors size. If product size, or let's say the word size in product size name, then we can just return product color ID. And then we specify the size at the top. Okay, so we loop through all the colors that we've got. If the color that we want is in there, then we loop through the sizes to check if our size is in there, and if that's true, then we return the color ID. Okay, let's test that out. Color ID equals that. And then we wanted a medium. Then we can just print color ID. Let's run that. There we go. 33854 is the color ID we want. Perfect. So after that, the next stage is to actually get the product, and this is where web automation comes in with Selenium. So this part gets a bit more interesting, a bit more complicated. So Selenium itself is, as I mentioned, a web automation tool, and you'll need, so we'll be automating the Chrome browser. So in that case, you'll need a Chrome driver, which you can get, and I'll show you that now. If you just type in Chrome driver into Google, you come in here and you can install or download the latest driver, Chrome driver 95. I'm going to be using 94, I think, but anyway, let's start importing everything that we need. So from Selenium, import WebDriver, that's number 1, and then we just say driver is equal to WebDriver.chrome executable path, and this is the path to your Chrome driver that you would have downloaded, and I need to get mine from here. I'll paste that in there. So what we also want to do is emulate a mobile device, so we can use the Supreme New York's mobile site, which is easier to automate. By doing that, to do that even, we have to specify a lot of like metadata and a lot of things to make it look like a mobile device. Things like the screen size, and specifying the user agent, so what device type we're using, what browser we're using, etc. And I'll show you how to do all that right now. So a lot of this I'm just going to copy and paste from another file I've got here, because it is quite a lot of stuff, but I'll go through each one individually. So we're just importing all of this stuff. A lot of this will be used later on. 1, 2, 3, 4, those 4 we'll be using later on. Options I'll mention right now, after I've copied and pasted this as well. This is some code that I just had written earlier. So okay, headers. So this is what I mentioned earlier, headers and the user agent. User agent tells you what device it is. So this is an iPhone with using this OS and this browser, and it's mentioned here as well, user agent. We've also specified the device metrics, so the width, the height, and the pixel ratio, and then we've put all those into our options. So these are some of the experimental options, and then we're going to add that in here. Options equals options. There we go. Now our driver is gonna kind of look like a mobile device, and I'll show you how that'll look in a minute. Okay, so now let's start writing some functions. So now we're gonna actually get the product. We're gonna need the item ID, the color ID, and the size. Color ID and the size. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the product page and then add the item to cart, and this is what this function will do. So what URL are we going to be using? We're going to be using this URL right here. Let me show you, it's pretty cool. So earlier we've got the item ID, and now we've got the color ID. So using those two, we can combine them into this URL to give us the item, the specific item that we want, and that just looks like this. Item ID, and I'll just change that to color ID. So this uses a mobile site. You can see it says supreme.com/mobile #product/item ID /color ID. So we go to the specific item and get the specific product. Now we're on that website. But actually, let's actually get to the website using Selenium. So driver.get URL, and that's it. That's simple. And let's just give that a quick test now. Get product, item ID, color ID medium. We haven't actually used that yet, but if we run that, as you can see, it opens up Chrome and it goes to the site, and this is the mobile view, which is pretty cool. So now we want to do a bit more automation. We're going to actually click on things. So actually, let's pull that up again. So what we want to do is use the drop down menu to select the size and then click the add to basket button. So to do that, let's go into more tools and developer tools. You can then use this to highlight specific elements. So I want to get the drop down menu. So we can see the ID of the drop down menu is size-options. So what I can do here is wait until, I haven't specified the wait until yet. So earlier you may have seen I've imported this WebDriver wait. The reason is sometimes we want to wait for something to load, and this is what we're going to be using it for. So wait equals WebDriver wait, and then specify the driver, and then let's say 10 seconds timeout. And that's that. We use that here, wait until, and we're going to specify an element. So let's specify ec.WebElement, not web element, presence of element located by ID, and then we give the ID here, which was size options. Once we got it, we can go options equals, we're using a selector here, and we want this again, so we go driver dot find element by ID. The ID is size options, and we can do options dot select by visible text the size. So what this is going to do is it's going to grab the element which has the options drop down, the option size options ID, which is the drop down menu, and then we're going to select the element within that which has the particular size. So in the drop down menu it has small, medium, large. It's going to select the medium one. And then after that we're going to add to cart. So driver dot find element by, let's say XPath this time. XPath. I'll close the page. Let's get that up again. Let me pull it up again. As you can see, it's already done it. So I just run it before clicking the add to cart basket, add to basket, and it's selected medium. Now I need to get this element here. I can right click on it, copy the XPath, and paste it in there. And what I want to do with that, I want to click it. So let's try that again. So with this, it should add it to my basket. There we go. If I click the checkout button, if I check the basket button, there we go. I've got the item in my basket. Perfect. Okay, now we're nearly there. The last thing we want to do is go to checkout. So let's create a function checkout, and we're going to go to the checkout page. So let's have a look what the checkout page even looks like. Checkout. Checkout looks like that. That's the URL. And we're gonna wait. So why we wait? We don't want to start automating page one before things have loaded in. So we need text boxes. We need all these things to be there before we try and do anything. Otherwise, things can break and not work. So we're gonna wait until something has loaded. We can wait until one of these things is one of these things exists. So let's pick this. The ID here is that by.id or the billing name. Okay. Oh, and I haven't actually gone to the site yet. Driver.get URL. Then what we can do is actually execute a script. Execute script. So this is going to execute a JavaScript, as it says here. The JavaScript to execute in the frame, in the window, in the browser, which is cool. So what we want to do is start inserting values here, and we can do that by typing in this JavaScript here, document I spell that right, document dot get, I can't spell today, element by ID, and you specify the ID in here. Let's use those. Dot value equals and something else. And well, this is okay. So this is some JavaScript here. So it's going to grab the document, and a web page is a document object, and we can get an element by the ID, and we'll specify that in here, and get the value and change the value. So we're going to make this an F string again, and we need to get the element, and the element of this one was the ID of this one even is that. We can change the value to be whatever we want. I'm just going to leave it like that for now, and we can just paste that in there, and we're going to just copy and paste that and do it for all of these. Okay, so these are all the text boxes, all the input boxes, everything that you have to type stuff in. The other things we need to start automating as well are the drop down menus that we're going to do slightly differently. So first let's do this card type. Let's make a variable card type, select the element, so driver dot find by ID, and the ID is that. Card type dot select by visible text. You may remember that from last time. We can select something. We can do card month. Because select driver dot find element by ID. Copy that, paste that in there. Card month dot select, and we're going to do value for this one, and then card year equals select driver find element by ID. Grab that, paste it in there, close bracket, card year dot select by value. Okay, and we've done that, and last two things you need to do is click on that, so we can select that, ID is that. We can do again driver dot get element by ID dot click, And the last thing is process payment. And that ID is submit button. So driver, find a number ID, that dot click. Okay. And that's really pretty much it, to be honest. What you do need to start putting in all these details here. So this is where this config file comes in, which I haven't actually mentioned before. So I'm going to create different classes. So let's create a class for product details. This is going to hold all the information about the product itself. So keywords, color and size. Then we can create another one for the checkout, so let's call this user details. And we'll just put in all the details you need. Name, email, telephone, address 1, address 2, address 3, city, zip, and then what we're actually going to do is create another class for payment. Why not? And that we can do card number, CVV, card type, month, year, and I think that's it. Yep. Okay. So now I've done that. What we can do is import that here. So from config, import product details, user details, payment details. We can use them all here. So this is going to be user details dot name, user details dot email, here we're going to make this a string and do payment details dot, and this is the card type, payment details dot month, last one, payment details dot year. Okay, and then we can put in here the put in keywords here. So product details dot keywords, product details dot not size. This was color, and this is size. Put this here again. After get product and it checks out. Yep. Checkout doesn't take in any values. Okay, so let's just give this a test. So this was logo split. This was black in medium. Let's just write in some random things. Let's say John is buying this. His email is john@mail.com. just gonna write in some random stuff. 1 1 1 1 1. This was credit card. Month, let's put in 06, and the year 2023. Let's run that and see what happens. Oh, I think we need to slow things down a bit. So let's import time. Something went wrong here. Oh, and there we go. And the last thing that pops up is a captcha, which is very hard to to solve. I'm not going to go through that, but it does fill in all the details that you want. And that's it really. That's how you create a very basic bot. It'll go all the way to checkout and click the process payment. The last thing you'll need to do yourself is do the captcha. But that's how you create a basic bot. I hope this was interesting. And actually, let's time it. Let's do time print. Say time. So I'm gonna grab the time when we start, then I'm gonna take it away from the current time to get the number of seconds that it took. Let's run that. Not sure why it does that sometimes. Sometimes I think it's a bit too quick for itself. Try that again. You may need to put a delay. Okay, so I did it in about 3 seconds, 3.8 seconds, and that's with a 0.5 delay just to allow it to get to the checkout page. So yeah, it's a very quick bot, and I hope this was interesting. Thank you for watching. If you do have any questions or if you have any ideas of how to make it better, please let me know. Drop it down in the comments. Show me your attempts at making this. If you want to put it in a nice GUI or make it dress it up a little bit, please let me know how you've done that. It'd be really cool to see all your projects and stuff. And yeah, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.